Rex, did you do it?
Rex, did you do it? Rex Heuermann, the notorious serial killer, we believe, alleged. These are some of the victims. It's big news, folks. We don't see serial killers brought into custody very often, but this should have happened a dozen years ago. This is way too late. Did you know Suffolk County, where all this went down, for a long time it was run by, well, a corrupt district attorney and a corrupt police chief. Here they are. Each of these individuals, Burke on the left, the chief of police, and Spoda on the right, the DA, they both went to federal prison for a long time. The guy on the left there, they think that he may have been thwarting the investigation because it could have implicated him at one point. He had all kinds of interests, shall we say, in prostitutes. Well, those guys are gone, and fortunately, the good guys are running the show right now. District Attorney Ray Tierney on the right and Rodney Harrison, Suffolk County Police Commissioner. Both of these gentlemen took office in early 2022. Now, this case has been going on forever, right? I mean, they made books, movies, docuseries, podcasts, a million of them about the Gilgo Beach matter. And these guys, they were able to figure it out in a matter of weeks. No exaggeration.
We took analysts, we took detective investigators, and they worked on a daily basis with other talented investigators from all of the agencies here. We started that in February 1st in 2022. 6 weeks later, on March 14th, 2022, the name Rex Heuermann was first mentioned as a suspect in the Gilgo case.
6 weeks. After a dozen years, they did it in 6 weeks. And you know what? It wasn't like brand new information. They looked at the information they already had with fresh eyes. And they were able to pinpoint this guy and pinpoint where he lived.
For each of the murders, he got an individual burner phone, and he used that to communicate with the victims. Then shortly after the death of the victims, he then would get rid of the burner phone. They compared the victims' phones with the burner phones, and they immediately honed in on some similarities, specifically in the Massapequa Park area. And they looked at an area of a confluence of 4 cell towers, and they realized that this had significance because the perpetrator of these crimes was probably located within this area during, at, or around the times of the murder. And that was mapped out. That was called the box, and it was an area in Massapequa Park.
Now, I know most of you don't live in New York. Massapequa Park is a very tiny place in Nassau County, New York. Let's take a look. There's New York, there's Nassau County, and that little village, 2.2 square miles, population 17,000. Now, the details that were just summarized by the district attorney, they knew that all the way back in 2012. They knew that the guy was making phone calls from this small town. They also knew that one of the prostitutes, one of the victims, Amber Costello, well, an associate of hers, maybe your pimp, got a very good look at her killer. They saw him with his own eyes and told police all about him and gave a detailed description all the way back in 2010. And, well, they took a look at that. It was in their files.
That individual was identified as a person who was between 6'4" and 6'6", a large man, thickly built, not necessarily overly muscular, but just a naturally big person with glasses, white, and dark hair. That's,
wow, pretty specific. How many guys that size live in that town? Maybe take a look at it. They did. There was also this, and this is not brand new information. They had it all the way back in 2010.
Also of significance was that the fact that he was driving a dark-colored black first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche with a very unique feature that was between it's a pickup truck, so it was between the cab and the bed, and that was identified. Again, that was back in 2010.
2010, they knew what kind of car it was. They knew it was Massapequa Park. They knew how big and tall the guy was. And can we see an avalanche? I never really even thought of a Chevrolet Avalanche, but here is one. Now I see them all the time. And that's the little window he's talking about. This is the distinct feature. It's like a triangle on an angle. By the way, the authorities here, they're great. I think they're being respectful of who came before them because there were some screw-ups here, big time. Again, thank God for this guy and the new team. They took a look at it and they said, let's solve this thing. Keep going.
He worked at the time at an architect, and he owned his own architectural firm at an address at 19 West 36th Street in Midtown Manhattan. And that was also the area of interest that was identified by the FBI in 2012.
2012, they knew he probably worked in Midtown Manhattan. How about that? I mean, some people saw this and think, oh, well, they found out all this information. They were just going over stuff they already had and connecting the dots. I knew that stuff about Manhattan from some TV show I saw 4 years ago.
A second call pinged to Madison Square Garden, which is right above the New York City hub, the Long Island Railroad. Leading some to theorize the caller was one of the thousands of Long Island commuters who work in Manhattan.
That's a big piece of information that they had for a long time. It even made it into the movies. So let's go over what they had. A lot. How could they not have found this guy earlier? He was living in Massapequa Park, small village like we went over. What else here? He drives a Chevy Avalanche. I think he had the office in Manhattan. And, they had a description of the guy. 6'4", ogre, 250 pounds maybe. How many guys like that are there around in Massapequa Park? He's the guy, him. And did you know that on Google Maps in 2011, internet sleuths were able to find a Chevy Avalanche, that's it, right in front of the guy's house. This is all the way back in 2011. Now, how was it that the previous police leadership, administrations, authorities in general, how could they have missed this stuff? I have some theories, but before we get there, here's something else. Why did they not share more information with the public? They came out with a big piece of information several years ago, something about a belt. Take a look.
A significant piece of evidence found at one of the crime scenes along Ocean Parkway. A black leather belt embossed with the letters HM or WH was recovered during the initial stages of this investigation. We believe that the belt was handled by the suspect and did not belong to any of the victims. We are not providing the specific location where the belt was found, and additional information on this item will not be available at this time.
Well, you got to tell us how big the belt is, right? I mean, was it a size 32 or a size 52? That's obvious. Tell us, please, right? No.
What size is the waist for the belt? Biggest question.
What size is the waist?
For the belt, what size is the waist?
So I'm not giving information on the size of the belt.
Not going to give you information about that. Why not? There's a lot of ineptitude across the board in America because we're relying too much on computers. I'm going to get to that in a second, but the belt, can we see the belt? Here it is, all right? And HM, they think that that may have been, what, initials? We're staring at it, and we're wondering if it meant this, Heuermann, the name Heuermann. Now, not many people abbreviate their last name, right? But you got to look at that name, Heuermann, all right? What does it mean? Most names mean something. Heuermann, if you break it down in German, means to hire a man, right? Literally, hired man. And the individual, Heuermann, kind of saw himself as a craftsman, as a hired man.
I have one tool that's pretty much used in almost every job, and it's actually a cabinet maker's hammer.
Okay, cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is persuasive enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something. And it always yields excellent results.
All right, there's a lot of creepiness there, but a craftsman's, cabinet maker's hammer. Let's see one of those things. Looks like a potentially very nasty piece of gear. So the evidence was there. I'm sorry it was, and thank goodness they had new leaders to come in and to motivate and to organize and to lead to find it all out. Because Suffolk County did not have that for a long time.
Suffolk County's former top uniformed cop pleading guilty. Former Chief James Burke admitting in a strong voice in federal court he, quote, willfully used unreasonable force and slapped and hit a suspect, then conspired to cover it up.
And that was just one of his problems. Let's put him up on the screen, please. Former Burke is sentenced to 46 months, pleaded guilty to assault, obstruction of justice, violating civil rights. And, well, a lot of people thought that he threw the FBI off the trail. Let's put that up as well. James Burke stymied the FBI's investigation into the Gilgo Beach serial killings for years. He refused to keep the feds in the loop on the unsolved murders. Burke never wanted us involved in this serial killer case because he knew we were investigating him, said a federal source. And for a while, he just may have been a target of the investigation. How about that, huh? Something that could have screwed things up and slowed things down. The avalanche, the vehicle we were talking about. How does the DMV characterize an avalanche? Is it an SUV? Is it a station wagon? Is it a pickup truck? So when they put it in the database, they put it in as a pickup truck, but apparently DMV was categorizing it as a station wagon, and that's why it didn't come up in the computer. And this is what I'm concerned about, an over-reliance on technology. Technology is great, but we can't let it interrupt or interfere with our basic skills. I feel like they're atrophying as a result. You know, working on a computer can be a very solitary thing, right? You're alone, you're working on the computer. It's not exactly fun. And sometimes you get tunnel vision. You don't get to see the big picture. You know, I've been talking to some investigators. Was there a wall? Was there a war room the entire time of this where you could put it up and see and talk? And if you put up all this stuff all the way back in 2011, 2012, how could you not make the association to a guy named Heuermann? Well, I think that this is a real problem and it needs to be addressed. We have to remember that the computer can't do it for us. In the meantime, expect people to claim all kinds of credit, especially the FBI.
You ever feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up? That's your intuition, and you should listen to it. I was in the FBI for 25 years. I developed an investigative tool called criminal profiling, and I'm going to teach you some of the tactics I've used from the people I interviewed. What is their motive, and what is their behavior?
I had gone there for the same purposes as before, to abduct and kill girls.
You'll be learning how to spot these character traits in others. The skills taught in this class could very well save your life.
You know, the profilers are always there at the end to say, yeah, this is just the kind of guy we thought would be involved in something like this. But they don't bring their skills to the fore to the moment when it's really needed. Now, the FBI did do some great technical work here. A lot of people did. All these agencies, when they came together and they were led professionally by those guys we were talking about earlier, Tierney and Harrison. You want to hear what this guy sounds like? The serial killer himself. Some people say this is kind of creepy. Some people say it's kind of ordinary. Let's listen.
Hey, this is Rex from the BNI group. I actually heard you are no longer part of the group. I still wanted to talk to you. I had a question for you. And also wanted to touch base. So if you get an opportunity, you can always try me at the office. Or feel free to use my cell. Hope you're doing good. Hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, I'm no profiler, but there seems to be a little bit of narcissism, right? The way he says, hello, it's me. Listen.
Hey, this is Rex.
This is Rex. Like, this is your lucky day. Look, are we being difficult here? I'd like to put up the facts that we knew, again, 12 years ago. that he lived in Massapequa Park, or at least the calls were coming from there, that he drove a Chevy Avalanche, that he was 6'4" in height and had an office in Manhattan, most likely. How many people are like that? How many people fit the bill? All the way back 10 years ago, this was the guy, and it should not have taken this long. And it shouldn't take this long next time. I think we got to get out of our computers, out of our phones, and think big and start to see things instead of getting tunnel vision. All right? But what do I know? Let me know. I'll be right back.